In this video, I'm talking to you about how you can write a course that has 90% completion rate. And the reason I speak to 90% is that is the goal that we aim for in my business, and we are always around, we're always above 80%. We aim for 90%, and anytime we dip below, I'm thinking, what do I need to do to make my program better, to ensure that every client that goes through it completes it and gets the result? If you are watching live, I'd love to know from you what questions you would love answered in this training, so I can make sure I tailor it to you. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe so you can listen to more of my content on creating powerful courses and group programs and really scaling with a one-to-many model. So why do we want clients to complete our course? Now, it's kind of obvious, right? But if our clients complete our course, they're going to get the result. And if they get the result, we're going to be able to create amazing case studies, and we're going to be able to have the impact that we want in our clients' lives, right? And when we scale with a course, the idea is for us to impact more people in a more leveraged way, right? Whilst making more money by serving more people, but without it taking more of our time. However, if people don't complete it, if people buy it and it sits in their inbox and they don't engage in your program, firstly, they feel like a failure, okay? They feel like that was on them and that they failed. But then also what they can do is they can blame you, and they can, and I don't just mean outwardly, but inwardly, they think, well, that course was crap. Like I didn't actually get to the end of the course. So they don't have a good impression of you either. They feel like a failure themselves. And what happens to your mindset when you see people have bought your program and not moved forward, it affects your energy and the way you're showing up. And you begin to doubt yourself, whether you can get clients' results, and if what you've created is good in the first place, right? So it's so important that you upskill in this area to create something that is worth doing, right? That people can move through comfortably, get results, and actually reach the end. Now, the other reason this matters is because average course completion rates, right, for a DIY course are under 5%, okay? Under 5%. So imagine 100 people buy your program and only 5 of them complete it. How disappointing that feels as a business owner, that that's the impact that you're having. So what you have is a huge opportunity to affect this stat. And it would be worth benchmarking, like I've called this over 90%. For you, what does success feel like? How many people that sign up for your program need to go through it for you to feel like, you know what, I did everything I could? Because not all of this is down to you. And I just want to mention this as well before I go into I have seven things you can do to affect client completion. But it's not all down to you, and you will always have clients that sign up and don't do the work. That is just the nature of online programs. Just like in if you have a one-on-one client, they cannot show up and not do the work. Okay, so we're going to go through 7 things that actively increase your client completion rate. Number 1, and this is for me a non-negotiable, is to have live accountability. Now that might be an obvious one for you, but so many people I speak to say, I just want to create a completely passive course and it's just going to make me money in the background and I don't want to have any involvement. And the course industry is absolutely huge. But the reality is, if you create a course that has no live accountability and no structures which have you checking in with clients, that your completion rate will be, the average is 5%. Right? Now, if you created the best course ever and you really worked on the other steps I'm going to talk about, you might be able to get that up to 15 or 20%. But for me, that's just not good enough. That's not the impact I want to have in my business. So for me, completely DIY courses do not have the impact that I want my to have on my clients. And so live accountability is one obvious structure you can put in place that has people show up, check in, get help where they're getting stuck, right? That's a really, really big one, and have the motivation and the momentum to move forward. The second one, and this is the biggest mistake I see people make, is you are so scared of people doing your course and telling you that they didn't get value from it, that you try and answer that fear by putting in everything you know. And what you end up with is a beast of a course that is really, really hard for people to complete. The number one reason people will not complete your course is because they get overwhelmed by the amount of content. So in order to nail this piece, one, you have to choose a really specific result that you are helping people achieve. And then you have to find out the minimum steps to get them there. And that's going to mean cutting out a whole load of your work that you know would be really, really useful if they had, but is just going to create noise for them and make it really, really hard to get that result. So the leaner your course is, the easier it is for them to get the result. Right, number 3, and this is a huge one, and I also don't see many courses do this. Mine does, and it's one of the things that my clients say they love the most about working with me, is your course needs to integrate learning with implementation. Okay, now what I mean by that is you don't want a course that goes, right, listen to this hour module or an hour and a half module. Now go away and do these 5 big actions. Because what do we do when that happens? We listen to the course. Yeah, that was great. We get to the action slide and we go, cool. Yeah, that sounds like a lot. I might do that later. And we don't take the action. If people don't take the action and do the implementation in your program, they won't feel a sense of achievement, right? They will just feel like they're learning. And people don't join your course to learn, right? I want you to be really, really clear on that. They join your course, your program, for the implementation and the result they get if they do it. So it's really, really important that you integrate learning with implementation instead of having them feel like they have to go away on their own and do like 5 massive steps, which everyone will think, you know what, I'll do that later. I'll move on to the next module. So even though they might progress through the learning, they don't get the result, and eventually they're going to drop off because they're sick of learning without getting any result from it. Number 4 is throughout your course, right? You've already made it as lean as possible. You've cut out 50% of your content. How can you create either milestones or competitions or rewards that show people how they're doing? So in my program, I'm a big fan of milestones. And there's 2 types of milestones I talk about: achievement milestones and implementation milestones. So an achievement milestone is something someone achieves. So if someone joins my program and they launch their group program for the first time, which is one of our core goals, then that's an achievement milestone. Congratulations, you've launched your group program and got your first clients into it. An implementation milestone is something that they implement. So for example, at the end of module 1 in my program, they write a signature snapshot of their program with all of their messaging and they submit it to us for really detailed feedback. That's an implementation milestone. If you can work out the core milestones throughout your program, you then have an external accountability structure that shows them, okay, here's how I'm progressing through this course. Here's the things I've achieved so far. And I can see up ahead the things I'm going to achieve. So we have more context, we feel more excited, and we can track our progress, which links to my number 5, which is people need to understand the big picture, right? And this is a mistake I made with my program quite early on. I thought I'd done a really, really good job of constantly zooming out and showing them the big picture. But the feedback I got time and time again on group calls was, I can't really remember what I was doing or like where I was going. And because I filmed it, I planned it and filmed it kind of all at once, I thought it was really clear that I was constantly referring back, but it wasn't as clear to clients as it was in my head. So every single module, beginning and end, you want to be zooming out and say, hey, let's just remember the big picture here. Here's the roadmap of where we're going. This is the piece you just did. Here's the piece we're going to next. So they can always locate themselves. Imagine those signs at a park where it's like, you are here. This is what we want to achieve here. This is where you are. This is where we are going. Right, number 6 is you need to stack learning. Okay, now what I mean by this is often if we create a course in a linear fashion, there's quite a lot of theory. We kind of want people to know before we get into the juicy stuff, okay? So the temptation can be, if you're new to course design, or learn a theory, is we want to give them all the information so they have everything they need to know to go implement the thing, so they implement the thing in the right way. Because if we don't tell them the information, they're going to implement the thing in the wrong way, and then we're going to have to go back and help them correct it. But the reality is, if you keep people in theory, they're going to get bored. They're not going to feel a sense of achievement. They're going to think, oh, I've got to log into that course again and do more learning of more information, right? And it's boring. So the quicker you can move people into action, messy and perfect action, have them doing the thing, have them get a quick win, right? And this is something I recommend to all my clients that they do in the first 4 to 8 weeks of working with a client, is deliver a quick win, because it builds momentum, it builds excitement, it makes them see their success and their progress and think, I cannot wait to do that next step. So we want to stack learning in a way that moves them into action. And we want to order our content in a way that creates demand for the next module. There's all sorts of fun ways you can do that. But what makes them need that next piece? Because they're already in action, and without that next piece, they can't move forward. Right, the final thing, right, and this might be a controversial one, but this is the thing that has allowed me to keep my completion rates so high, is to give people an out if it's not right for them. Right, so the current structure I use is a 3-month love it or leave it. My most successful clients work with me for 9 months, right? But at 3-month point, we have a love it or leave it, which means if my program isn't a good fit for you, you can leave at the 3-month point and not pay anything else. What this means is at the 3-month point, I have the clients that did not do the work leave, right? The ones that signed up, promised the world, but didn't show up and didn't do the work, they leave at that point. The ones also that joined and realized it wasn't a great fit for them. For example, I help people scale with a group program, and quite a few times now, people have joined. We look at their messaging and their marketing. They realize they're in the wrong niche. They change niche. Then they have no audience in that new niche. And then suddenly we're in a position where a group program doesn't make sense for them anymore. They really need to go focus on their one-on-one. So giving them an out instead of going, well, sorry, you've committed to a 9-month program and we're going to bang our head against the wall trying to create a group program, even if it's not the right fit for you, for me is ludicrous. So it might feel uncomfortable, but if you can find a way to allow people to exit, if it genuinely isn't a good fit or they're genuinely not doing the work and you don't want that dead weight in your program and that energy around you of them not showing up, that can seriously increase your completion rates. Because I know anyone that stays with me for the final 6 months of the program, 1, has committed financially a significant amount for the last 6 months, and 2, is going to show up and do the work and complete it. And that is one of the core ways we keep our completion rates so high. So let me run through those 7. Number 1, live accountability. If you don't have it, your completion rates are likely going to be under 5%. 2, minimum steps possible to achieve the desired outcome. Write it, cut it down by 50%. Number 3, integrate learning with implementation. Have them live do it as you go through the learning. Number 4, map out their core achievements or implementation milestones, or add in fun things like competitions or rewards that has them unlock benefits as they progress. Number 5, stack learning so you create demand and do not keep them in theory for too long. Number 6, give them way more big picture stuff than you think. Give them way more context so they can locate themselves in the program. And number 7, give people an out, like a love it or leave it guarantee, or something that allows them to step away if it's not the right fit for them. If you found that useful, I would love to know, what is one thing you have taken away from this training? What's one thing that you are excited to implement? And as always, if you want help designing your group program and scaling it, this is what I help my clients with. Just comment below, amplify, and I will send you all of the details. See you soon.